What's up guys, Readiness Reviews here with you again, and it's been a little while since we did one of these types of videos, but we are actually doing a military surplus firearm unboxing today. I picked this package up from Centerfire Systems, an online e-tailer that I've done a lot of business with in the past on ammunition, bayonets, and other military surplus items, but up until this point I had never ordered a firearm from them before. They just so happened to run a special recently in which they were offering free shipping, and as there were a couple things on the website I was eyeballing, I went ahead and pulled the trigger and made the order. Let's bust right into this package so we can check out what I got. I will be opening that with a bayonet, one that is so long it barely fits on camera. If you know what this bayonet is, make sure you let me know down in the comments. I will go ahead and let you guys know this is a 2-for-1 special. Like I always say, why order just one gun when you can order two? We've got a little packing paper. That's going to be one of our two firearms. Take a look at that in just a second. The other one is the long boy here. Nice amount of bubble wrap on this. And that looks like a DP bolt to me. And that's what we have. Another awesome Ishapore No.1 Mk.III drill purpose rifle. We've looked at a couple of these on the channel before. I've bought them from several sources. They are still available from several sources. These are imported by Century Arms. They still have the tag from Springfield Sporters. So these have been in the country for quite a while, just sitting at Century Arms warehouse. These are the absolute best bang for the buck when it comes to a parts gun you can get your hands on. They also make awesome display pieces and really just a beautiful wall hanger. Being a DP rifle, these are not functional firearms. The receiver has been drilled and a stainless steel bolt has been inserted to block the chamber. These rifles were meant to be used for drill purposes. As the name suggests, they are a drill and training rifle, but all the standard parts for a No.1 Mk.III Lee-Enfield are included with these rifles and can be repurposed on virtually any other No.1 Mk.III Enfield. On this channel, we do a lot of firearms restorations, so having a good source of parts is always welcome, especially when they're Enfield parts, which at the moment are my favorite firearms to restore. Now, the reason that I went ahead and bought this from Centerfire Systems, aside from them running free shipping, is they only wanted $110 for it. That's even lower than direct from Century Arms themselves. It's lower than J&G sells. These are offered in several places at the moment, and if you haven't got one, I really suggest doing so. At some point, the reserve of these rifles will dry up, and that will be a very sad day. I might even buy one or two more to have for long-term storage. This rifle might be the nicest condition DP rifle that I've acquired so far. The magazine has a big dent in it. That might affect function for the magazine. The wood is very pretty. Now, of course, it is dirty and covered in cosmoline at the moment. Not as covered as some I've seen, but it doesn't appear to have any major cracks or big dents or anything. It's a very handsome piece of wood. There's the Ishapore bolt showing where these served in India. There's our manufacturer and date of manufacture. RFI indicates the Ishapore Rifle Factory, and date of manufacture on this is 1958. Buttstock seems to be in good condition. There's a nice little crest stamped into the wood there. And we have some pretty cool markings. I've never seen this particular bullseye paint mark before. I can only assume that that B or 8 there and that F are some kind of rack marking. Our red and white stripes there indicate this is a DP rifle. And something about this particular example that I found to be a little bit odd is this front nose cap. Generally, these are a little bit more rounded. This has sort of squared off corners. The whole front end is a little bit more squared, and that looks very similar to the nose cap that you'll find on a 7.62 NATO chambered 2A Enfield. So I'm certainly very happy with the external condition on this. I don't currently have an Enfield project that I need a parts rifle for, so I might just clean this one up and keep it in its DP configuration as a nice wall hanger in its own cool little historical piece. It would be a shame for all of these rifles to get repurposed into parts guns, because then you do lose its own little historical niche of being a drill purpose rifle. It does look like it is a complete rifle to me. The safety's there, of course the magazine's there. That magazine does have a spring and follower. All the sling loops are included. So for $110, these things are a screaming deal, especially seeing as how just the 4 stock for an Enfield can come in at nearly $200 these days. The value that you get on one of these DP rifles for all the parts it contains is absolutely crazy. It's not something that I would ever do, but if you just wanted to make some easy money, you could buy a bunch of these, disassemble them, and part them out on eBay and Gunbroker and probably make a pretty good return on it, to be completely honest. Of course, I don't recommend doing that. You are kind of desecrating a historical item at that point, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't know how long these will be around on Centerfire Systems website, but as I stated before, these rifles can be found in several different places at the moment. J&G Sales certainly comes to mind. And then of course, straight from Century Arms. They were about $135 on Century Arms, but I think they very recently had a price decrease themselves. So that's certainly a good place to pick one of these guns up if you've been looking for one. They are the best value you will find in #1 Enfield parts, bar none. And that's the main reason I'm bringing this video to you guys. I know a lot of people that watch my channel are also into restorations themselves. And for restoration projects, these DP Enfields cannot be beat. As always, I don't really recommend reusing the bolt parts. Any pressure-bearing part of the firearm that's marked DP is not recommended for use in live fire. There are many things that could cause a rifle to be put into a DP roll. Some of them were perfectly fine all around, they just needed DP rifles, and some of them had certain defects in manufacturing or defects in service. And there's no way to know what caused your particular rifle to be DP. You certainly wouldn't want to use a bolt or any other pressure-bearing part of the rifle if it just so happened that that's the reason that that rifle was disqualified and put into a DP roll. But I'm completely confident in the use of all the other parts, that is for certain. Also, if you just happen to like cool Milsurp eye candy and you don't want to break the bank on fully functional firearms, you can drop about $100 on one of these and have a super cool historical firearm that you can play with and oogle. Unfortunately, it'll just never be able to fire itself. That'll lead us in here to the other firearms purchased in this particular order. Of course, this is going to be a handgun. Uh-oh, it's missing its safety. It looks like this also has a Century Arms tag on it. Now, this is a gun that at this point is pretty much completely useless. I just picked it up because it was cheap and I thought it was cool. And that is a Circle 11 Polish P64 built in 1969. But this is a deactivated training pistol. The barrel there has a nice channel cut out of it. On this particular example, the safety has been removed, unfortunately, and the trigger mechanism is not working. There's a look at the tag on that. Pistol Luzink 1964 P64 training version, 9mm Mk.III. This is essentially just a paperweight that set me back about $70. I missed the boat on surplus P64s when they came in. They were in abundance here in the country. Right around the time I was about 18, 19, 20, they could be picked up from every major CNR retailer for about $150. And right around the time I was 21 and got my firearms license, they were no longer available. And ever since, I've been searching for one and I have yet to find one for a reasonable price. So even though this is just a glorified paperweight, it is a Polish P64, and so it's pretty cool to have at least a part of an example in the collection. All the markings are legit military markings. I mean, this was a P64 that was just demilled. There's the import stamp, Century Arms International. I would have to imagine that these can also be purposed as parts guns. However, a lot of the important parts, especially like the barrel in this one, will never be able to fit that roll. I am a little disappointed though that the safety mechanism is missing and that the trigger doesn't work. I don't know if that's to be expected from all of these or if that's just my one example. The magazine is also missing, which isn't surprising considering that P64 magazines cost almost as much as this whole firearm does. We're missing a nut for the grip screw. This is essentially the Milsurp Nerds version of a fidget spinner. Just something you can play around with and not ever have to worry about proper firearm safety because there's no chance this thing will ever fire again. We will take the slide off right quick. Like any Makarov-like designed, you pull the trigger guard down and then just retract the slide, and the slide comes off. The slide is completely stripped, so no firing pin or striker whatsoever. We do have a recoil spring. You can get a better look at the barrel with the channel cut in there. A little bit of red paint indicating that it's been demilled. Does still have some nice rifling, so it's a shame they had to chop up what was probably a perfectly fine little handgun here. It looks like a lot of the internal parts are gone. There's no trigger spring. The hammer parts don't seem to all be there. There's definitely some stuff missing. And so at this point, I think it's safe to say that I would not recommend picking one of these up as a parts gun. If you have a P64 that needs some parts, you're better off just buying the parts that you need, because you're definitely rolling the dice on what you will and will not get with one of these training school P64s. So a cool little item, but not necessarily recommended in my opinion. I think that the price point on these is about double what it should be for what you're getting. But this is just one example. Other ones might be a lot nicer and not be missing quite as many parts as this one. So 2 firearms from Centerfire Systems for a good deal less than $200. Neither of which will ever send lead again, but both pretty darn cool in my opinion. And in the case of the No.1 Lee-Enfield here, without a doubt, worth the money. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I truly appreciate it. I am good and dirty at this point, so it's time to go hop in the shower. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up to help it out with the Google algorithm. Subscribe to the channel to catch more Milsurp content in the future, most of which will be guns that actually shoot. Let me know what you thought about the video down in the comments. Do you see this shell of the P64 being worth $70? And if you haven't yet picked up a DP Enfield or two, I urge you to go ahead and do so, because one day they will be gone. Thanks again, guys, and I will catch you in the next video. See you then. Peace.